Hi everyone! I'm so excited to share these 3 treats that will help you beat this horrible summer heat. Every one of these are refrigerated or freezer, nothing has to be baked. My very first one is Smoothie Popsicles. I'm going to do smoothies with mango, blueberries, strawberries, yogurt. Right in that bag is strawberries and cherries I froze that were a little overripe. And I am going to put some strawberry and banana yogurt in them. And you'll need a little bit of milk, whole milk, any kind of milk you like. The blender that I have isn't the greatest, so I'm going to put the liquids in at the bottom first, that way everything blends completely. I'm going to just add a little bit of milk, everything's to your preference. Maybe 1/4 of a cup, maybe a little less. Then I'm going to add some of this great value strawberry yogurt, which by the way is very, very good, and it has little chunks of strawberries in it. And you just add as much or as little as you like. There's really no measuring because they never turn out bad. You could also use Greek yogurt if you'd like, but this is what I had on hand. So probably 4 or 5 heaping tablespoons. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the strawberry banana one. Let's see. Now I'm going to add strawberries and cherries as much as you would like. Then I'm going to do mango chunks. These are great. I really love these from Walmart. And I'm pushing it down so that everything will fit for me. A couple blueberries. And I love frozen blueberries because they say that they get frozen when they are at their the peak of the season, so they're always super, super ripe. And frozen blueberries are great to snack on too, especially when it's super hot. And then you see me just pushing it down because it's already jam-packed and we want lots of flavor. I guess I wanted a couple extra mango chunks, so here I am opening another bag to add a couple more. And now I'm just blending till everything's completely smooth and ready to go into the popsicle molds. I was lucky enough to find these popsicle molds at the dollar store. I wish I had gotten about 5 of them, but I wanted to make sure that the popsicles would pop out, and they definitely work, and they're definitely worth $1. Even if we only get a couple months out of them, it was definitely worth the whole $1, because these are expensive even on Amazon. I thought using a funnel might be easier, but actually it was a little harder. But you could use anything you like. I will try the funnel here in a second, but then I switch over to just using a spoon. Now I'm just going to add it with the spoon and fill them all the way. I didn't fill them all the way to the top because I just wanted to make sure everything would come out okay. And then I popped these in the freezer. I did freeze them overnight. They were pretty solid after 5 hours, but I wanted to be safe than sorry, and I left them overnight. And then when I took them out in the morning, what I did was I ran them under a little bit of warm water and they popped right out. I didn't even grease these, nothing. They just popped right out for me. So I was really, really happy, and it was delicious, especially when it's hot and there's nothing bad in these. You know exactly what ingredients you put in them, and the kids can enjoy them. They could eat all of them if they wanted to. So I was really excited that these worked out for me. And I really hope you try this and you enjoy. Next time I want to try to do it with watermelon. I think that would be good, watermelon and lime. But you could do any fruit you really like. You could do soda pop if you want to just do a fun, maybe a Coke flavor. You could really do any kind of popsicle you'd like. You could do pretty much, the possibilities are endless. And here I'm capping them and sticking them straight to the freezer. And this is how beautiful they turned out, a rich purple, and they tasted delicious. Next up is a real treat. It's an Oreo pudding cake. You need pudding, chocolate pudding, Oreos, powdered sugar, whipped topping, and cream cheese softened. And you're going to need a stick of butter and milk, which I guess I lost the clip of. I use the Twist and Shouts because honestly, they're half the price of Oreos and you really can't tell a big difference in taste, especially in a pudding. So let's get started. I'm going to put I had about 5 cookies missing from that tray. So I added these, and I'm about to squish these real good to make the crumb bottom. I also lost a clip of me melting the stick of butter. You're going to have to melt a stick of butter and add it to the Oreos to make your crust. Here I am taking out a few extra because it looked like there wasn't quite enough. You could make this in a 13 by 9, but I made it a little bit smaller just because I wasn't sure how it would turn out. And that's where I mixed a stick of butter with this. You could definitely use half a stick of butter. You definitely didn't need the entire stick of butter. I will link the recipe down below or write it down below for you. But you definitely could have got away with half a stick of melted butter. And I just pressed it into the bottom of the pan. Here I'm adding a softened, you really got to make sure your cream cheese is softened so it doesn't get lumpy. And you're going to add this to your mixer, and you're just going to cream this with 1 cup of powdered sugar. Here I am scraping the rest of the cream cheese off. And 1 cup of powdered sugar, and you're going to cream this till it's all incorporated. Then it will look a little something like this, almost like cream cheese frosting. Then you're going to fold in half of your whipped topping. Make sure you just fold it gently so that nothing deflates, and it will be nice and fluffy. Here I am folding away. I did let my whipped topping fall in the fridge for about an hour, so it was a little soft, and I added a little extra. And this would be great even if it's a dip. You could, honest to God, use this as like a fruit dip for a party tray, or even with like graham crackers, because this was really delicious. Now you're going to add this to the top of the cookie crumb, and it says to chill this for about a half an hour before you do anything else, and that's exactly what I did, and it firmed up a little bit, and I'm glad I let it sit for the half an hour. Man, it was tempting just to eat it like this, but I definitely wanted to finish the project. It calls for 6 ounces of chocolate pudding. I had it's like 5.5 ounces. It was a little too much, so that's why my next treat I'll show you what I did with the leftover pudding, but it won't go to waste. Somebody would definitely eat this chocolate pudding because it is delicious, and it calls for 3 cups of whole milk. It did say if you use soy milk it won't firm up because you stir it for 2 minutes and then in 5 minutes it's completely firm. I did 2% milk and it was perfectly fine. And I stirred it for 2 minutes, set it in the fridge for 5, and it was pretty firm after. And this was delicious. After it sat for a half hour, I added the chocolate pudding on top and just spread it out evenly. You can add as much or as little as you want. I used about, I'm going to say about half. If I had done it in a 13 by 9, I probably would have used the entire amount. Now after I added the chocolate pudding to the top after it sat for 30 minutes, it then requires you to let it chill for another hour so everything can firm up, so when you add the whipped topping, nothing mixes together. And I'm definitely glad I did that too because the pudding got nice and firm. And like I said, you can add as much or as little pudding as you want. And this is what it looks like after 1 hour of chilling in the fridge. And here I'm adding whipped topping as sort of like the frosting. I added nothing to this, no cream cheese. This is just thawed out whipped topping. And you can add as little or as much as you like. I just spooned it on until I felt like it was enough. And it looks delicious already. And to garnish the top, I took a couple extra cookies and just crumbled them on top, and it looked really pretty with the little specks all over. Very professional. Almost looked like you bought it in a store. And this is a type of dessert, the longer it sits, the better it is. I did let it sit for about 4 hours before we tasted it, and boy, was this the most delicious thing I've ever had. It is so good, and I definitely recommend you try it. The longer, like I said, the longer it sits, the better it gets because the cookies get nice and soft, and it was just such a good treat. Everyone in the family enjoyed it. And this was the end result. I was really proud of how this looked and how this tasted, and it was really fun to make. It took a little bit of time, but it was so worth it. Here's what I did with the leftover chocolate pudding. On the box it said that you could make Jello Pops in ice cube trays. I do wish I had more of the popsicle molds, and I'll get more from the dollar store, but on the box it said to spray your ice cube trays with Pam or butter spray, and that's what I'm doing here, and I rubbed it in. And now I'm spooning in the chocolate pudding, and I'm going to add, I broke in half popsicle or lollipop sticks. And I thought I did every other one because I thought maybe this would stick, but just how you would pop out an ice cube, if you twist the tray a little bit, they popped right out, and boy, these were good. If you remember back years and years in the 90s how they had the Jello Pops, this is exactly what it sort of tasted like. I would love to try this with vanilla pudding, butterscotch, anything, but these were definitely delicious, and they're already halfway gone. And I definitely will be making these again, but only in the bigger molds. Coming up is my daughter Brookie's first impression of them. She really enjoyed them. You gotta sort of, alright, pull it out so I can show. Perfect. Are they good?
Yeah. They're weird.
What do you mean?
I mean, they're good, but it's just weird because it's frozen.
Does it taste like a pudding pop?